Welcome to the Department of Marine Resources Public Health Training Element for Limited Purpose Aquaculture License Holders, presented by the Bureau of Public Health and Aquaculture. This training is required for anyone who holds a limited purpose aquaculture license but is primarily focused on shellfish sanitation. Let's start to answer some of the questions you might have about shellfish sanitation. Question number 1. Why does the Department of Marine Resources deal with public health issues? Bivalve shellfish, or shellfish with two shells such as clams, oysters, and mussels, are filter feeders. They strain marine waters and collect tiny particles to eat that may include phytoplankton, bacteria, and viruses. Because humans eat the entire animal and often consume them raw or undercooked, bivalve shellfish pose a potential risk to public health. It is the job of the DMR Bureau of Public Health and Aquaculture to make sure bivalve shellfish are safe to eat. DMR accomplishes this through implementation of the National Shellfish Sanitation Program, NSSP, Model Ordinance. You can find DMR's adoption of the NSSP Model Ordinance in Regulation, Chapter 94. The basic program elements of the NSSP Model Ordinance are a physical shoreline survey every 12 years for each shellfish growing area, routine water quality testing, and biotoxin monitoring. Using data from each of these program elements, DMR classifies shellfish growing areas into 5 categories: approved, conditionally approved, restricted, conditionally restricted, and prohibited. Bivalve shellfish harvested from approved and conditionally approved areas in the open status can be sent directly to market. LPAs are not allowed to be located in restricted or conditionally restricted areas. Only LPAs for seed culture can be located in a prohibited growing area as long as the aquaculturist also has a standard or experimental lease site and complies with maximum seed size limits. Maximum seed size limits can be found in DMR Regulations, Chapter 2. A further limitation for siting LPAs in a prohibited area is that no LPAs for any purpose may be located within the 300 to 1 dilution zone around a wastewater treatment plant outfall. This includes the culture of marine algae for human consumption. The 300 to 1 dilution zones may be viewed on the shellfish closure map on the DMR website. Question number 2. If my LPA is in an approved area, is it always open for the harvest of bivalve shellfish? No. Always check prior to harvesting. You need to check and be sure the area is in the open status every time you harvest. Approved growing areas can be closed for emergency reasons at any time. For example, a boat might run aground and start spilling fuel into the water. Or, severe weather might create flood conditions and rapidly degrade water quality. Conditionally approved growing areas are closed when certain criteria are met, such as 1 inch of rainfall in 24 hours, a specific time of year when water quality degrades, or when astronomical high tides are predicted. Because the open status can change for approved and conditionally approved areas, it is critical that you check the status of your growing area every time you harvest. You can do this by signing up for DMR's GovDelivery email and text notifications. The link can be found at the bottom of any DMR webpage. You can also bookmark and directly visit the Shellfish Closures webpage prior to harvesting. You may also call the DMR Closure hotline at 1-800-232-4733 or 2076-247727. Question number 3. Do I need to be concerned with biotoxins in Maine? Yes. Marine biotoxins are naturally occurring in some species of phytoplankton or algae native to Maine waters. As previously described, bivalve shellfish are filter feeders, and they can consume toxic phytoplankton that may pose a risk to humans. Common marine biotoxins in Maine include paralytic shellfish poisoning, also referred to as PSP or red tide, and amnesic shellfish poisoning or ASP. PSP can cause paralysis and death in high enough doses, while ASP can cause permanent memory loss and death. DMR actively monitors Maine's waters for the phytoplankton species that can cause PSP and ASP, and also tests shellfish directly to determine if they are becoming toxic. When shellfish tests indicate toxicity is increasing, DMR closes shellfish growing areas. Biotoxin closures are species-specific. Different species take up biotoxin at different rates. There may be closures for one species, but not for others. Because marine biotoxins are a chemical compound and not an organism, cooking the product will not eliminate the chemical. The product may look, smell, and appear healthy even when toxic. The algae blooms that cause biotoxins are invisible to the naked eye, so you cannot tell if there is a problem by looking at the seawater. The only way to know if there is a problem with biotoxin in bivalve shellfish is to monitor the DMR closures through GovDelivery emails, the DMR website, or the hotline. Question number 4. I have heard a lot about Vibrio bacteria in shellfish. What is it? Vibrio bacteria are naturally occurring in marine waters. Although there are many species of Vibrio, several species can cause human illness through the infection of an open cut exposed to seawater or through consumption of contaminated shellfish, causing a condition called vibriosis. Maine has documented illnesses related to both wound infections and vibriosis in recent years. Vibrio bacteria grow in warm waters where there is often mixing of fresh and salt water. Think the upper parts of an estuary or river system. Some species thrive at water temperatures around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which is common in the shallow marine waters of Maine during the summer months. The best way to control Vibrio is to stop the growth of the bacteria inside the shellfish after harvest. How can this be done? Cooling the product to less than 50 degrees Fahrenheit as quickly as possible will stop the growth of Vibrio bacteria and reduce the likelihood of illness. If you are a marine algae grower, don't worry. Science indicates that Vibrio bacteria are not readily found on the surface of marine algae, and they pose no health risk to consumers. Oyster growers must also complete Vibrio training and obtain a Vibrio license attached to their harvest license. You can find information for the Vibrio training program on the DMR website. Question number 5. How can I harvest and sell my product legally? The first step on your way to marketing marine algae or shellfish is to purchase your aquaculture license. This is separate from your LPA license and allows you to remove product from your site legally. If you are growing and harvesting bivalve shellfish, you must comply with tagging requirements found in DMR Regulations, Chapter 9. Tagging shellfish is an important process for successful tracebacks of any illnesses that occur. Harvester tags must contain the following information in a legible and waterproof manner: the name of the harvester, the harvest license number, the date of harvest, the time of harvest, the LPA designation, the type of shellfish, the quantity of shellfish, and the following statement. This tag is required to be attached until the container is empty or is re-tagged and thereafter kept on file for 90 days. Harvest tags should be used anytime bivalve shellfish are removed from the LPA site. This includes transporting shellfish to market, transporting shellfish to another LPA or lease site, or when transporting shellfish to shore for winter storage. You should never be in possession of untagged shellfish. DMR does not supply harvest tags. They must be secured by the harvester. Lastly, here are 3 important reminders for shellfish harvesters. Bivalve shellfish harvested from an approved or conditionally approved area in the open status can be sold to certified shellfish dealers or enhanced retail license holders. Bivalve shellfish can also be sold from the harvester's home, except for oysters during the Vibrio control season that runs from June 1st through October 15th. No home sales of oysters are allowed during the Vibrio control season. Bivalve shellfish may not be sold directly from LPA sites. The Department of Marine Resources is always available to answer questions and help industry members comply with regulations. Please reach out to the Department of Marine Resources Bureau of Public Health and Aquaculture if you have questions or concerns. DMR Public Health DIV at maine.gov or 2076 339 515.